Hello, fourth graders, and hello, fifth graders. I teach the combination class. And welcome to another video science test review. Today we are primarily going to be talking about how wind is caused, but we also are going to be reviewing a little bit of the water cycle. Just because that is where we are at in our science book. This lesson does cover the water cycle a little bit, but it also covered the water cycle in the last lesson. So we did most of our teaching or our lesson on the water cycle in the last lesson. It's called Earth, Blue Planet. So in this lesson we're going to focus primarily on how wind is formed, but for the sake of the test, also we are going to review the water cycle. Okay? So there's three primary phases of the water cycle. We have evaporation, we have condensation, and then we have precipitation. Now evaporation is when liquid water gets warmed up by the sun in the ocean, and the water molecules, they move around a lot faster. You notice in the liquid, the water molecules, they're not in any type of nice, neat arrangement or patterns like they are with the solid. So the sun starts to move around these water molecules faster and faster until the water molecules start moving around so fast that they escape the surface of the ocean and it turns into a gas. So this water is lifted out of the ocean in the form of gas now because the molecules are moving around so fast, and they rise up into the sky. The warm air pushes this evaporated water into the atmosphere. The higher you get into the atmosphere, the colder it gets. So what happened is this gas, these molecules that are moving around really fast, they start to slow down because the temperature is colder higher into the atmosphere. So as these water molecules are slowing down, they start coming together and condensing. That's a good fifth grade way to talk about condensation. They come together. They gather around dust and that sort of thing, and they start attaching to one another, and they start returning to liquid form. And depending on how cold it gets, it can actually turn to solid form, and that's how hail and snow and that sort of thing is formed. But anyway, the warm air is holding up this condensed water now, and this starts turning into clouds. Pretty soon the warm air cannot hold up this condensed water anymore. So what happens once that warm air can't hold it up anymore? It starts to fall in the form of precipitation. It can form as either rain, or if it gets cold enough, it can actually condense further into a solid and come down as as hail or snow. So it really depends upon the temperature. The colder it is, it's going to come down as like hail or snow and sleet. If it's not that cold, it may just come down in the form of rain, and that would be precipitation. The water then goes back on to, let's say, a mountain, and then the water travels down the mountain, picking up salt from the rocks and that sort of thing, and then some of the salt gets taken back into the ocean. But the salt from the ocean never gets evaporated in the first place. Why? Because it is too heavy. So that's just, once again, a brief review of the water cycle. And that is covered in this lesson, but we did go over that quite a bit in the last lesson, Earth, Blue Planet. Alright, so let's cover this real quick. We did already mention this a little bit, the three forms, the three states of matter, solid, liquid, or gas, depending on how quickly the atoms and or molecules are moving within a given area. Basically what's happening here is, and let's go over a couple facts. Land heats up and cools off faster than water. That's going to be a really important fact. What causes wind is the uneven heating and cooling off of the Earth's surface. Both water and land is the Earth's surface. The next fact you're going to need to pay close attention to is everything in nature likes to be balanced. And we'll go over these two as we look at this lesson a little closer. Alright, so what's happening here is the sun is out. Now because land warms up or heats up faster than water, you can see that the land is warmer because of these warm molecules, and the water is colder because of these colder molecules, and the sun is what caused it. So the air above land is warmed up, and the air above water is cooler. Well, what happens then, because there are a whole bunch of colder molecules cramped together, the colder it is, the more cramped the molecules are. So these guys are all cramped together, okay, because it's cooler over the water than it is over the land. Why? Because the sun heats up the land quicker than water. The air above land is warmer. So these colder guys, they're all crammed together. They want to be, nature likes to be balanced. So these guys are like, hey, there's none of us over there. That's no fair. Let's go over there, guys. We're not balanced. There's way too many of us over here and not enough over there. So all these guys, they go, let's go over there. And why do they go down? They go down because they're heavier. There's more of them, and gravity pulls them down. So they go rushing over here because they want to be balanced. And these warm guys get pushed higher because they are lighter. There's not as many of them. And so they rush over to this area. This is called a sea breeze, where wind goes from water over the land. Okay? Now basically the sun goes down, it is cooler out now, and land cools off faster than water. So land has the cooler molecules, water has the warmer molecules, and so the air above land is going to be cooler, and the air above the water is going to be warmer now. It's the opposite, because this cooled off faster because the sun went down. So you have all these cooler air molecules, they're all cramped together, and they're like, hey, there's not very many of us over here. Look at, there's only 4. And we're all cramped over here. We like to be balanced. So guys, let's go over there so we can spread out like them. Look at them, they have all this room. It's not fair. We're cramped. Nature doesn't like to be cramped. It likes to be balanced. So all these guys go rushing over here. They go down because they're heavier. And the warm air then gets pushed up and over the land. Okay? So all of these guys rushing over the water is called a land breeze. When you have the breeze coming from the land and going over the water. That would be a land breeze. Okay? I think that is pretty much it. We covered the water cycle. We reviewed this a little bit. And that's solid. You guys now know how wind works. In some of the other lessons coming up, we're going to be looking at global winds. Okay? Are there patterns when we look at the Earth as a whole? Are there patterns that the wind blows? And it's going to be built upon this same kind of concept. Alright? Alright, it was good going over this with you guys. Hopefully it helped you for the test. And I look forward to seeing you in the next lesson.